assume that it has the power to interfere with liberties it is sworn to uphold. If the whole purpose of the American experiment is to demonstrate that we can pursue life, liberty, and happiness better on our own than by the central planning of the government, why does it seem that the government is always resisting us on this? Why does it seem the government is always trying to tell us how to live, trying to make these decisions for us? All right, there's a knock on your door. You answer the door, there's a guy with a gun. The guy says to you, "Give me your money. I want to give it away in your name." All right, what are you going to do? You call the police on this crackpot. It turns out he is the police. He's a federal agent, come to collect your taxes and give the money away in your name. You just heard Glenn. Charity comes from the heart. The very root of the word for charity is the Latin word caritas, which means heart. It is impossible to be charitable with someone else's money. You can only be charitable when you give from your own. There are three ways to acquire wealth in this country. The first is by inheritance. Somebody leaves you a fortune. God bless you. Be generous with that fortune. That's the inheritance model. The second is the economic model. You trade a good, a service, an idea, a skill, the sweat of your brow for someone who's willing to pay you for it. This is what almost all of us use, and when the government doesn't interfere, we prosper with it. The third is the extortion model. Your money or your life. Which model does the government use? When I say on air, and I'll say it right here, taxation is theft. My friend John Stossel says to me, "Judge, you're killing me when you say that." I said, "What do you mean I'm killing you when I'm saying that? What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, my people are emailing me wanting to know why I won't say it." I said, "John, say it." Think of it. The government presumes that it can just take as much money as it wants from us. Well, whose money is it? If you own your body and you own the fruits of your labor, natural law, you own the ideas that come out of your body. You own what you trade, what your body does, and what your mind thinks, and what your words articulate. That property is yours. The government doesn't have a claim on it. But we've established a government in this country that thinks it can regulate any behavior, control any activity, and tax any event it wants. And it's about time we said to them, "There's a line thou shalt not cross. It's the threshold of my house." One day I was interviewing Congressman Jim Clyburn, who's the #3 ranking Democrat in the House, over health care. I got the health care debate, seems like it was 100 years ago. It was only a few months ago. And I said to him, "Congressman Clyburn, can you tell me where in the Constitution the federal government is authorized to manage health care?" And he said to me, "Judge, most of what we do in Washington is not authorized by the Constitution. Can you tell me where health care is prohibited to us in the Constitution?" So two very interesting responses. The first response is amazingly candid but deplorable, because they took an oath to uphold the Constitution, come what may. Whether it pinches or it comforts, they took an oath to uphold it. And for him to acknowledge that most of what they do is not authorized by the Constitution is a rejection of that oath. But to say, "Can you tell me where in the Constitution health care is prohibited to the federal government," turns on its head the whole concept of a limited government. The federal government did not come into existence in order to right every wrong. It came into existence only to address the 17 unique, specific, discrete, delegated powers given to it by the Constitution, and health care is not among them. I mean, think about what the federal government runs. The post office is broke. Amtrak is broke. Social Security is broke. Medicare is broke. Medicaid is broke. When the Mustang Ranch was taken over by the feds for failure to pay their taxes, they ran it into the ground. The federal government cannot provide booze and hookers to truckers in the desert, and they want to run health care. I mean, this is ridiculous, but it is a serious state of affairs when you think about it, that those we send to Washington do the opposite of what we send them for. I was on air with one of Glenn's and my more irascible, irritable colleagues, and we were going back and forth, and he said to me, you know, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet, what's her name? I know what you're thinking, and the answer is in capital letters, no. She issues some kind of a proclamation saying that people that think the government is too big, taxes are too high, life begins at conception, the right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental individual natural right, are dangerous to society. So I said to my more irritable, irascible colleague, well, she knows that I believe government is too big. She knows that I believe taxes are too high. She knows that I believe that life begins at the moment of conception. She knows that I believe that the right to keep and bear arms is a fundamental human, individual, natural right. But how does she know that anybody else believes it? And he looked at me and he said, well, I don't know. How does she know this? And I said, Bill? Because she can read your mail before you get it. She can go to your lawyer's office and look at the documents there without you knowing it. She can go to your doctor's office and look at your medical records without you getting a whiff of it. She can capture every keystroke on every computer you touch without even getting a search warrant. He looks at me and he goes, well, where did she get this power from? She got it from the Patriot Act, which you, Bill, supported when the administration that you liked was in power. And now they're gone, and she has this power, and she will use it on those she hates and fears. Remember this diabolic offer. The devil comes out from behind a tree, and he says, give me your freedom, and I will keep you safe. A bargain one should never make, a bargain in which the freedom that goes to the government never comes back to us. The government tries to find an object of hatred. Throughout our history, it has hated all groups, groups to which everyone in this room is a member at some point in time. The government hated Indians. The government hated blacks. The government hated Mormons. The government hated Germans. The government hated Catholics. The government hated Jews. The government hated Japanese. Who does the government hate today? It hates people that are successful. It hates people that have accumulated wealth. It hates people that are educated and are in a position to challenge the government. Which is worse and more dangerous, and which causes you less sleep at night? A ragtag bunch of fanatics hijack an airplane and fly it into a building, or a ragtag bunch of fanatics hijack the government and fly it into your house and your bank book.